open my eyes, leave it all behind. So open your mind and realize.
Yo guys, what is up? Max in our Outriders video, and today we're updating my one-shot Trickster build. Now, this is a build I've been playing since the game launched, but a lot of things have changed since then, and we can do a lot more damage, so I wanted to update the build. Now, for Trickster, there are two firepower options for builds, really. There's pump shotgun builds, and then there's full auto shotgun builds. This is going to be a pump shotgun build. It's going to be very different than my full auto build, but it does put out crazy damage and one-shots pretty much most things in the game, as you saw some of the intro and you'll see throughout the thing. Now, I do want to note that the some of the crazy numbers will only be able to be achieved because we had a debuff pyro on, but I want to talk about how you can increase your damage on Trickster and hit for some crazy numbers. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So we're going to go over our skill tree first. Now, I don't change my skill tree whether I'm using a full auto shotgun or a pump action shotgun. They're pretty much the exact same. Pretty standard top tree Trickster build. Some things to note is you're going to want to be behind enemies when you're shooting them. We're going to get 40% more damage when we're behind enemies, and that is why we're using Hunt the Prey. And you want to be prioritizing this for your big damage shots. With this, that's 40% more damage. If you can hit 40% more damage with Hunt the Prey and a Venator's Knife, you will do crazy damage. And that's kind of what this setup is. Venator's Knife is going to double the damage that we deal with our next shot, and we're using a pump action. So we're going to be consolidating all our damage into one shot. Hunt the Prey is going to get us behind the enemy for our damage bonus, but it's also going to activate things like our weapon damage here, and we're also getting weapon damage here. So when we activate Deception, we're getting 35% weapon damage. When we activate our movement skill, we're getting 35% weapon damage. So 70% weapon damage there, and we're getting bonuses to being behind enemies. This setup with the Venator's Knife is how we're going to hit as much damage as we can. The other things that we're focusing on are just grabbing as much more damage for close range damage and shotgun damage as we can. We want cooldown a little bit, more damage to elites, more mag size, more shotgun damage, and then for each enemy in close range, weapon damage increased by 8%. Very solid skill tree here. I wouldn't really change much about it. So for our weapons for this build, we're using the Anomaly Effigy, which normally looks like this thing. I just have mine transmogged, and the Enoch's Blessing. Now, the Anomaly Effigy is the main shotgun to use on this build because of its tier 3 mod, Concentration Blast. Killing shots cause enemies to explode, dealing 156k damage, multiplied by the maximum number of 4 enemies within a 5-meter radius around the original target. And then we're also rocking Dark Sacrifice for 75% weapon damage. Now, this mod is so good and so important for this build because it gives us the AoE damage and the AoE clear that we need on a pump shotgun build that shoots slowly. You need to be able to kill multiple enemies with a single shot, and Concentration Blast allows us to do that. Now, this mod got buffed a bit ago, so it used to be 112k times 6, which ended up being a little bit more damage, but now it's more damage with less enemies, and we're able to hit like 600k a lot easier. And hitting 600k when you're shooting into a group with every shot, if you're one-shotting everything, clears out groups very, very quickly. This gives us the clear speed that we need. Without it, our clear speed's a little bit slower. We're still hitting lots of damage, but slower clear speed. Now, for our big one-shot damage, you need an Enoch's Blessing. Or you don't need one. You just need the Gravedigger's Frenzy and a shotgun with crit damage and Dark Sacrifice. We can get so much damage out of this thing because of Gravedigger's Frenzy and the 75% weapon damage. And the way that we were hitting these big net damage numbers, if you saw me, sometimes I would shoot an enemy, or I would make sure that the enemy I shot, before all my big damage, before my big combo, I tried to make sure it was a crit. I tried to get a kill with a critical shot to give me 50% crit damage, and then as soon as I activate that 50% increased critical hit damage, I activate all my abilities. We throw our Venator's Knife, we Hunt the Prey behind the enemy, and then shoot. And then if Gravedigger's Frenzy is still active, we'll hit for crazy, crazy damage. This is absolutely huge. For the pistols, yeah, doesn't really matter. You can use whatever pistol you want. I have one with 69k, so obviously I'm going to use that. All right, let's talk about the gear. So showing on screen is the gear and all the mods that I rock for this build. Now, this is all the mods I rock for solo. If I'm playing solo, these are all things that I will use. For example, Mitigation from Death is something that I'll absolutely rock while I'm playing solo because I just need that armor. If I'm playing with friends and I'm going for big damage, you don't need this mod. And that's what I kind of want to mention. So The only must-have mod for Trickster for this build is instant reload. That's going to allow us, whenever we hunt the prey, to give us our full magazine back. And with pump action shotguns, you fire so slowly that by the time you can get through a full mag, you'll have hunt the prey back, and then you can hunt the prey, and then you don't need to run, we don't need to run any other ammo return mods on our guns or on our gear. Only one thing, which frees us up for a lot of damage mods. And we have a lot of damage mods on. We have Sharp Eye, we have a Radiation Jump for the vulnerable effect, which is very, very nice to have. Bloodlust, Buckshot Shells, Personal Space, Captain Hunter, Stare into the Barrel, and Twisted Fate. As much damage as we can squeeze on here. Now, you will note that these are all mods that are great for solo play. When we're going for the biggest numbers, if you're ever playing in co-op, the one thing that Trickster struggles with, and the one thing that the Trickster really can't take advantage of, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, is the more damage mods against enemies suffering from an elemental effect. So, for example, for those big damage one-shots that I was doing, when I was playing with those pyros, I had bullet kindling on, or I had ash kindling on, or if I was with the Devastator, I'd put bleed boost on, or if I was playing with a Technomancer, I'd put like Euthanizer or Shatter on. Mods that are going to increase your damage against enemies suffering from a status effect are the ways to pump up your damage a lot more than just stacking more and more and more firepower. Firepower will only do so much for you at a certain point. As long as you've got Bloodlust, Sharp Eye, you should be pretty much good on firepower, and then you're going to want to buff your like more damage against enemies from a status effect to really get your damage numbers up there. Now, I know that's not ideal for solo play, and that's for that reason I don't rock those mods. If you really wanted to, you could rock one of those mods and, like, for example, rock like Euthanizer and a pistol like this to shoot some toxic on enemies. But I find that for solo play, it's better just to not, it's just not worth it, because you're going to be more consistent damage against all enemies just rocking the mods that I have outlined. But yeah, for the most damage one-shots with those Pyromancers for 640 mil, I started out hitting around 90 mil, and that's because I wasn't rocking certain mods that were really juicing up my damage, like Twisted Fate was super important. Those like Ashen Boost, Fire Boost mods were huge damage increases. Getting vulnerable on them is a big damage increase. It's a 15% more damage multiplier. And then once you can get those multipliers in, you should be good. But this was my Trickster build. Hope you guys enjoy. It can do all the content in the game, and your job as the Trickster with this build is to just get in and one-shot whatever enemy has got the most health in the game. It's really fun to play. It's not as fast clear speed as the full auto Trespasser version with like a death shield and the full Trespasser set. Its AoE clear is not as fast as that, but your one-shot potential and bossing potential is nutty. And so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.
I was put in the